and today what we're going to be doing is having a little look at the ECP listening, the final part of the listening test, part 3, and probably the trickiest. So let's have a look at some of the facts before we get into the tips. So there are 15 questions in this part of the test. So what you're basically going to have is 3 different listenings or 3 different parts here, and each part will have 5 questions. Okay, so as I said, you're going to have 3 talks, and these talks are probably radio programs or interviews or something like that, usually with 2 speakers, sometimes even with 3, usually 2 though. And the speakers nearly always have an American accent, which I'm sure a lot of you are used to if you're watching YouTube or doing a lot of practice tests. So the talks themselves can be on loads of topics. The topics are pretty similar actually to the reading topics that you'll come across. So they could be about education, experiments, pollution, wildlife, weather, you name it. So, how can you improve your marks in this part of the test? Let's have a look at some of the tips. So, you're going to get about 20-30 seconds before you start listening to the speakers. Read through the questions, or while they are speaking, you'll hear them saying, you will hear 2 speakers talking about. While you're listening to all that, you should already be starting to underline the keywords in the questions and the options, so you know what information is in front of you and what you're listening for. And also this will give you a lot of insight into what you are going to hear or could probably hear. Again, you won't have time, I think, to do all of this, and that is why I suggest to my students, start with the questions, because this is the most important thing, knowing what information you're listening for, and then if you have time, start looking at the options. But don't worry, it's very rare that you're going to have the time to do all of this. The second tip, eliminate answers. Now, as I said, these talks will go on for about maybe 4 to 5 minutes each. You're getting a lot of information. In fact, you're getting bombarded with information, so it can be very confusing, and sometimes you will miss the answer and you'll realize maybe you've missed it. So what you can do, as always, is eliminate the answer. So if there's a question such as what is true about the research they conducted, and you have 3 possible options: it was extremely expensive, it showed exactly what they expected, it proved the previous theory, you can maybe turn around and say, well, they never talked about money, I'm sure of that. I never heard them talking about capital or funding or being over budget or anything like that, so I don't think it was A. Even doing this gives you a 50-50 chance between B and C, and then you're just going to have to take a guess. But at least 50-50 is better than 1 out of 3. The final tip, if you don't know the answer, have a logical guess. Okay? And this works well. Maybe you're hearing a listening about hurricanes or something like that, and when you look at A, B and C, you can turn around and go, I'm not sure, but B looks really good. And that sometimes, if you don't hear the answer, just select that answer, because never ever leave gaps. I hope you guys know that, because if you leave a gap, you've definitely got it wrong. If you put a mark down, hey, you never know, you just might get it right. But a lot of the time, logical answers in this part of the test kind of work. And the biggest tip I think I can give you for this part is practice. And when I say practice, yes, do it in the practice tests, but also in the back of your test book, you will find the listening transcripts. And these things are gold Okay, so you can do the listening, and then after, you know, check your answers, and you can actually read through it and find out exactly what they said and whether you caught the answer, or maybe you can learn vocabulary or expressions or understand where, you know, you kind of went wrong. So the transcripts are amazingly useful, and you should all use them, and it will definitely help your English in general, not only your listening but your vocab and reading as well. Okay, so remember, this is a tricky part of the exam. Most students just need to hold it together in part 3, and as long as they're not doing diabolically bad, you're in for a pass. Okay, so thank you very, very much for watching. If you have any other queries or anything like that, ask away. Bye for now.